What is going on, everyone? Welcome to this week's Pardon the Disruption. I'm your host, back again for the first time, Matthew Potter. Good to be back in the hosting seat right now. Wanted to go ahead and introduce myself. I am your hedge fund guy, short sale guy, also co-founder of the family tree over at Real Broker. Hit me up if I can go ahead and help you grow your business. Real quick, for those that are new, we're going to go ahead and break it down for how we do things around here. We have 5 pre-selected questions, 45 seconds for each one of our panelists to go ahead and answer. Then they can chop it up for 2 minutes after that. I will award points based off of best answers or whoever Venmo'd me the most money prior to the show. We're going to go ahead and start off this week with introductions. We're going to start with Mr. Disruptor himself, Steve Trang. Introduce yourself to the people.
What's going on, everyone? Steve Trang, Real Estate Disruptors. We are here to solve sales problems. And welcome back, Matthew. It was a little frightening last week when we started the show, and someone's missing, but glad to have you back. And Robert, I apologize for everything that's about to happen in the next hour.
I'm excited. Bring it on, baby.
Robert has no idea what he's in for this week, and we're extremely excited about that. All right, next up, coming to us from Dallas-Fort Worth, we have Mr. Titanium himself, RJ Bates III.
What's up, guys? RJ Bates III. Excited. I have a new addition to my set here. That's right. I got my new Closers Olympics belt. I don't know if you guys know this. I won the 2023 Closers Olympics. I wanted to get that out of the way. Also, a couple of years ago, I went to a Harvard hockey game. And I'm just going to say, those boys down in Harvard are pillow soft. All right. So I'm looking forward to today with Mr. Harvard, Robert Winsley. See if he can withstand this hour.
Wait a minute, we got a Harvard guy slumming with us? What's this all about?
Don't want to get me.
Man, we haven't even gotten through intros, and it's
do we have
already
like
started.
Ryan? Do we have a bunch of Ryan Fitzgerald questions this week?
We do now. All right, next up, coming to us from the Midwest, Mr. I Buy St. Louis, Jimmy V. Introduce yourself.
Hi, Jimmy Vreeland. I buy STL. I work in the easiest, most podunk market. I'm just here on the show to learn from RJ so I can learn to operate inside a real market one day. And like, Potter, I'm so glad you're back. But like I did, when I heard there needed a new judge, like I did text Steve like right away, hey, Potter's out, I'm in. So like I'm glad to have you back, but I did want that opportunity. I looked at what happened last week as a little bit of an opportunity.
I appreciate that, Jimmy. You know what? We may throw a point on the board for Jimmy just for the actual brutal honesty there. I love that. Last, certainly not least, our special guest this week. We have Mr. Robert Winsley. Introduce yourself to everybody.
What's up, guys? My name is Robert Winsley, CEO of InvestorLift. We help people sign their deals faster at higher prices. We pumped about $11.5 billion of off-market deals through InvestorLift this year, and we're just getting started. Super excited to be kicking it with all you guys. I was with RJ down in Texas last week. Had a great time. So you closing live on stage, absolutely incredible.
You mean taking orders or closing, Robert? There's a distinct difference.
There we go.
Maybe a little bit of both. We'll see. But yeah, super excited to be kicking with you guys. I love the format of the show. This is very cool. I got the questions like about 10 minutes ago, and I was trying to set up a camera. So I'm gonna be winging it today, but should be a good time.
Hey,
okay,
RJ.
Robert, question number 1. Traditionally, really smart people don't go into the real estate industry. What happened with you?
That is not question number 1. Absolutely not.
Hey, I'm wondering. I'm looking for RJ's new belt from Dallas. Where is it?
We're gonna address that today, Steve. All right, carry on. Take over, man.
Uh-oh. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started with question number 1. Live streamer Aiden Ross breaks the record for most live streams in under 1 minute for misleading people that he was live streaming with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un. What's the most misleading, shameful thing you've seen in real estate? Start us off, Steve.
Well, great news. I'm doing a Real Estate Disruptors episode with Kim Jong-un. If you guys are tuning in later on today.
Are you guys related?
Oh my God! So
I'm sorry, I couldn't not say it.
So I would say probably the most misleading thing in real estate, there's two of them. I'll start with one, is that you can get into real estate with no money. That's it. Get in real estate with no money because, let's just forget the fact that you actually need to get either data or a list, phone numbers, or gas money, or earnest money, or whatever, membership to the RIA, whatever it is. There's money involved. But this whole thing about you can get into real estate with no money, a little misleading.
Yes. Definitely not getting into real estate without money. All right, next up, RJ, what are your thoughts?
The most misleading and shameful thing I've seen in real estate was my education group that I went through. I paid $65,000 for them to teach me to make offers on MLS deals and dispo through Craigslist. That was insane. It was shameful for them. They never mentioned the word direct to seller marketing. I didn't even know that was a thing for like my first year and a half in real estate investing. And looking back at it, it was insane how many people spent that $65,000 for the education and essentially just lost all of that money. Some of that was their life savings. It's shameful that there was these big box education groups out there. I think most of them have been put away, but that was so misleading and just utterly shameful.
65 G's. Good Lord.
What year was this, RJ?
2014.
Damn, so that's like 185 now.
Yeah.
Good Lord. All right, next up, Jimmy, what's your thoughts?
I think that you can buy an internet course, start buying some houses, and quit your job. I can't stand that kind of lie in real estate, or that you could quit your job to wholesale, and that's not really a lot of work. Like, it's a tremendous amount of work. It's a tremendous challenge. It's a ton of fun. But I can get involved in real estate and in like 18 months end up on the beach. That's particularly annoying to me.
Very good. Jimmy, always concise and precise. We appreciate that. He likes to keep us on time around here.
Now for Robert, your answers, speaking of concise and not concise, do I need to get like a notepad and take notes and whatnot? Is this
we're cutting away from Jimmy V now. All right, Robert, what are your thoughts on this one?
So I'm a little bit of a different route with this one. Last year, anyone who had a heartbeat could become a real estate wholesaler because the hedge funds were buying everything. So we had a flood of new wholesalers coming to the market and a lot of really bad practices. If you're going to sign up a property and put it under a contract, you better darn be able to actually close on it. And if you're not, you need to communicate that with the homeowner. When you tell Granny that, hey, September 15th, you're moving out of the house and I'm going to close on the deal, and September 14th comes along and Granny's got her entire house packed up and is expecting that check to clear the next day and is expecting to actually sell her house the next day, and you call her up while she's packing up the U-Haul and you say, hey, you know what? Sorry, we're actually not going to be able to close tomorrow because I couldn't find a buyer. That is what gives wholesalers a really bad name. And that is why state by state, the government is putting a lot of legislation against wholesalers. So last year we saw a ton of that, a ton of really bad practices. A lot of times people come in, and talk to a lead and they're like, hey, like 3 other people have done this to me. They've said they're going to buy my house and they didn't. I met one guy that happened to him 5 times before he ended up actually buying their deal. So if you're wholesaling, make sure you can actually close on the deal. Make sure you actually have an end buyer. Make sure your numbers are right. The worst thing is when Granny's got the U-Haul packed up and the day before, you're setting the expectation you're going to close on that day before you pull out of the deal.
Hey, Robert, I don't know if they taught you how to read a clock at Harvard, but it's less than 1 minute, all right?
45 seconds. It's actually 45 seconds.
Yeah, less than a minute. 45 seconds preferably. But
well, dude, it's like his first or second time on the show. Like, where was Potter on that one?
Dealing with a mechanical issue over here.
Well,
don't mind me.
Robert came out of the gates and just straight out attacked Matthew. He was like, anyone with a heartbeat. I was like, man, like that's grossly insensitive.
Wow.
That is awesome.
Robert,
Holy
I
shit.
I don't know if you know or not, but Matthew actually had a heart attack last week. It's like, man, that's just insensitive.
I'm sorry.
But yeah, I mean, I think Robert's got a point though, because that was my number 2. Was like, hey, I'm your buyer. Like, I'm the buyer. And I think, if you're not able to buy and you say I'm the buyer, it's, a little misleading, because we've talked about this before. It's a little, fraudulent to use the inspection period as a cancellation because you couldn't move the deal.
Yeah.
Right. It's a little fraudulent. I'm not saying you're a bad person. It's just you can go to jail for that, right? Like, that's all I'm saying. So just be careful.
But let's recap all of our answers, right? Steve says, hey, being told that you can get into real estate with no money. I talk about I went to a bad education program that taught us to get deals off the MLS. And then Jimmy's talking about buying a video course where, you can get in and be taught to quit your job. And then it gets to Robert and he's saying, hey, don't mislead sellers. I think they're all together collectively saying the same thing, right? There's an education problem on how to properly wholesale real estate. And collectively, this is why there's legislation and regulations coming down on wholesale and saying, hey, we need to make sure we're doing things the right way and essentially not fraudulently misleading sellers. I think collectively, we all said basically the same thing there.
Yeah. I would say,
I
though,
think
with
what's
RJ,
interesting. Go ahead, Robert. Sorry.
I was going to say, Jerry Norton and I are working on this right now. We've set up the National Association of Real Estate Wholesalers to create a standardized code of conduct, standardized ethics, standardized contracts, and standardized basic training that we're going to be rolling out. We've already set up, it's a trade organization. We've set it up and we're working on the contracts and some standardized training so you can become a licensed wholesaler. You don't become a licensed wholesaler until you complete the training and agree that you're going to abide by a certain code of conduct. I think that hopefully that will solve a lot of this.
it's a great idea. My only challenge is, as a skeptic, is I don't trust the skeptics either.
Well, like Steve, I generally hate regulation. I hate any government involvement, but it's going to reward people who are operating honestly. It's going to hurt some people who probably don't have the cash to pay for all the courses, to pay for all the licensing and regulation. But people who are building organizations and are doing it right, it should reward them and give an unfair advantage.
That's what the banks say.
Yeah, as someone that's part of the National Association of Realtors, I can tell you that ethics are just abound. They're amazing. Everybody adheres to them. So, that being said, based off of the fact that Steve absolutely ripped on the fact that I had a heart attack last week, I'm gonna go ahead and give the point to him because I'm just one of those horrible people. Anyways,
with a
question,
heartbeat.
barely with a heartbeat. Here we go. All right, question number 2. Recently, Terrell Owens and Stephen A. Smith were in a social media debate over First Take and personal attacks from and to each other. How would you handle someone in the real estate investing industry attacking your brand through social media? Start us off, Steve.
If it's once or twice, I would just completely ignore it. Right? If it's rampant and it keeps going, then we have to address it. But if it's once or twice, I'm just gonna ignore it. Right? Like, our reputation speaks for ourselves. Every single person here has a reputation, has a brand, right? And if you want to come after us, like, you've got something big to overcome. So for me, I would disregard it because you're the one that looks stupid attacking us, right? We don't need to respond to it. As a matter of fact, I was having a conversation with someone last week, and they're like, if someone were to come and speak ill of Steve, right, to him, he'd be like, even if you're right, you understand this doesn't benefit you or me to do anything about this, right? Why would you start this war? It only makes you look bad. I agree with that for all of us here with our brands.
All right. Well played, Steve. Well played. All right, next up, RJ, what are your thoughts?
I mean, listen, I embrace it. I mean, I love it. Keep my name in your mouth. It's free publicity. I mean, they're coming out, and if they want to talk about me, that's amazing because I normally have to pay to get people to hear about my company and my name. So this is amazing. And I mean, let's just give like, I don't know, an example. Let's say that there was an event where there was a closing competition and everyone on stage sent out a contract. And at the end, they proclaimed someone else the winner, and that person only wanted to talk about me afterwards. Keep it up, Bubba. That sounds fantastic. Talk about me all day, every day. I love it. I appreciate the free followers because the facts are there's a lot of belts back here, and there's a lot of proof that I know what I'm doing. So keep talking about me.
Old belts. Those are old belts.
RJ is absolutely undefeated with his belt collection. Absolutely undefeated. Shout out to RJ's belt collection. All right, next up, Jimmy, what are your thoughts?
It would depend on how much fun the guy talking trash is. Like, if it's angry and bitter and like, I'd probably take the Steve path. Now, if it's fun and there's some smack talking and the guy's enjoyable, like, if Stephen A. Smith, if he were to grace me by insulting me, like, I would have so much fun with that. Like, I haven't heard T.O.'s name in like 10 years. Stephen A. Smith insults you, you're all of a sudden relevant again.
I mean, you're not wrong there. Like, you're definitely not wrong.
It'd have to be you'd have to go through an analysis of return on fun.
Yes, the good old ROF.
Yes.
ROF.
All right, Robert, what are your thoughts?
First of all, I got to side with RJ. Like, it's great when people attack you publicly. I've had it happen to me. It helped make my product one of the most viral products out there when we first launched. First of all, you can't hit back publicly. You got to just ignore them. And then let your customers and let your friends do the smack talking for you. Okay, you got to rise above it. You're like you're too small for me to even pay attention to, right? But my customers will do it for you. And when there's controversy drives attention drives sales, makes you more money. Just look at any post you've done on social media. If there's smack talking, if there's debate in the comments, those are the posts that go viral. Those are the ones that make you money. Controversy drives sales.
You know, I want to put it out there. We have officially gotten our trademark approved for Pardon the Disruption, right? It happened yesterday. So now would be a great time, Jimmy, to go attack Stephen A. Smith and tell him how Pardon the Disruption is better than whatever crappy show he's got. Let's get this going.
I'll do it. Let me put that on my to-do list for today, but I'll take a swing.
I mean, imagine if when Robert rolled out Investor Lift, if there was like a salty influencer who had built his reputation on dispoing deals, attacked them and said Investor Lift was nothing more than just a buyer's list that anyone had available. I mean, it would have blown up Investor Lift, right, Robert?
Possibly.
Just saying. Keep my name in your mouth, baby. Talk about me anytime you want.
I feel like there's a story here.
I don't know. I'm just spitballing examples, you know?
Well, you know, actually, we talked about this before, right? Like, you had, I think it was RJ, right? You had an event where you were showing Investor Lift at your event, and Jimmy was the top guy in St. Louis. Yep. It's like, let me tell you about Jimmy. You want to share what that experience was? Yeah,
we had a crucible, and I said, you know, name a city. They said St. Louis. We pulled up. There's Jimmy Vreeland, and one of my students is like, I know Jimmy. He's like, that dude's a savage. Blah 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 blah. He's talking about how you were basically a savage with closing deals with wholesalers, and I was like, yeah, Jimmy's on Pardon the Disruption. He's a savage. His answers average 17 and a half seconds. They normally don't make a whole lot of sense, but I think he buys a lot of $3,000 shit boxes.
Well, so Steve, like being a top buyer in St. Louis, here's how I stay humble. I realize that we're in a podunk market like St. Louis. So to be a top home buyer is like making up competitions, winning them. The reward is a belt and then displaying them in your background on any video. So that's how I try to stay humble about being a top home buyer.
You literally have a ton of awards hanging on your wall right behind you.
They're not belts. Wait, they're not belts.
Yeah, they're real. They're real awards.
Sales excellence in the corporate world. A corporation made this, not some competition somebody made up.
It's an own corporation.
No, it's not an award when a bunch of wholesalers get in a room together and say, let's find an award to give each other.
Oh, man. I'm super glad to be back. This is it right here. I am going to say,
in RJ's defense, it was sponsored by Investor Lift, so I guess it kind of maybe it was a quasi corporate award. Sorry.
Oh man. All right. So on that round, I'm gonna go ahead and go with my guy RJ on that one.
What? That's bullshit. Wait,
Hey,
I got
hey.
it, Steve.
Pipe down over there, Vreeland. I don't need this. My cardiologist said my stress levels need to stay low.
Oh yeah,
Like,
you're right.
relax.
I'm gonna lay low. We don't need another incident this week.
Not this week. Next week's a different story. All right. Next up, we have a question.
Oh wait, is this like bring your award to Pardon Disruption Day? What do you got there, Robert?
I feel like I gotta fit in with you guys. So I'm just gonna put this right here. Hustler Award.
No, you need to put it behind you on your shoulder, so then you look like RJ.
RJ.
Yeah, just keep it on your shoulder the whole show.
Looks like a
Oh,
Liberty
yeah,
Bell.
have your friend there.
There you go. Hold that right there.
Good Lord. All right. Hey, question number 3. During a real estate appointment, a shocked witness saw 2 bears crawling into a parked Krispy Kreme donut van in Anchorage, Alaska, and eating several donuts. What has been your craziest encounter with wildlife at one of your real estate deals? Start us off, RJ.
Okay, so you know how I always reference the mistakes that I made in 2019 and 2020? Well, one of them had to do with wildlife at one of my flips. Luxury flip, Fort Worth, Texas, 40-foot ceilings in the entryway. All 40 feet from floor to ceiling ended up having a beehive in there that cost us tens of thousands of dollars to have removed. And then the courtyard, the house centered around a courtyard, had a family of vultures make a nest, lay eggs, and we found out that vultures are protected. There was nothing we could do about it. We had to let the eggs hatch. We had to let the baby vultures grow up before we could get them removed. And if you didn't know, their poop is acidic and eats away at everything, and they attack you. So we wasted a year's worth of interest getting bees and vultures removed from this property.
Wow.
Good Lord.
You
This
could
question's-
go there at night with a shotgun and just,
You go to it's a federal felony, bro.
I mean, some guys, you don't know some guys.
You don't know anybody in DFW that's down to do some sketchy stuff, RJ? Come on.
That's
Come
the
on.
fun. Like, give them $100, boom, problem solved. With that interest.
Yeah. You get 50 now and 50 afterwards. All right. What about you, Jimmy?
This one's not so much funny as like legitimately there was this one house that was a legit like puppy mill, and like we're talking like 20 dogs in a house. Like no one was cleaning up their waste. No, they were pissing, peeing, pooing everywhere. Like it was not so much funny, like kind of sad. And then probably not as hard as getting vultures out, but to get that stink out of that house, it took like 3 months.
That's terrible.
It is.
We deal with that routinely here in Arizona. We got a lot of cats and dogs, houses like that. It's terrible. The worst. Robert, what about you?
Nothing special, just a cow in the bathroom.
Seems legit.
Nothing special. One of my tech guys once broke a nail while they were programming.
Are we really not going any further about the cow in the bathroom? Like
Just drinking some water out of the tub, was thirsty.
legit.
That's it.
No joke. I was going to see if I could get a photo of it from that acquisition guy. There's a photo of it.
That's outstanding. All right, Steve, what about you?
So one of the properties that we sold right after we closed, an eagle flew in through the master bedroom glass, and there was glass everywhere, and the eagle wounded, obviously, right, in the master bedroom. So we actually client had to call whatever services to get that eagle taken care of and treated properly, because with like the vulture situation, has to be done the right way, right, as a protected species. So yeah, just casually, just flying in, having a good time right through the master bedroom window.
Was this like a bald eagle, or what kind of eagle was this?
I assume it was a bald eagle. I didn't really care for more details.
Yeah.
I can't do anything with this information. So we're moving. I'm like Jimmy. Can I do anything with this information? Nope. Moving on.
RJ, I'm curious. Nothing with feral pigs?
No, but I was going to say that one time that I was on TV with my TV show before Disney decided to go broke by going woke, and they fired me. We had the cat poop house, and the way that happened is the tenants were getting evicted, and they were salty because they were getting evicted, so they put cat food all throughout the house and opened up the doors, and it just got infested with cats, and cats died in the walls and in the attic and everywhere. I literally got 2 respiratory infections from flipping that house. It was crazy.
You should have worn a mask.
We did. Nothing could have worked.
Just for the absolute epicness, Robert's going to get the point on this round for a cow in the bathroom. Like I think that's just going to be my new answer to just get people to stop talking. Have you heard about the cow in the bathroom? All right. Real quick, before we get into question number 4, I'm going to toss it over to Steve so he can go ahead and read an important message from one of our sponsors.
All right. So if you guys are trying to do PPC right now, it might be a little harder, right? Trying to figure it out on your own. Better if you go and get it done by a professional. Go get a consultation with Bateman Collective. That's what I did. I tried to figure this out on myself. I looked around, couldn't find the right service provider. Got connected with Bateman Collective. They know what they're doing. They're getting us deals. Go check it out, batemancollective.com/PTD.
Awesome. Thank you, Steve. We're going to go ahead and get into question number 4. Like the union auto strike happening across the United States over wages and fear of work being outsourced, what are some of the areas of real estate that can be outsourced? Go ahead and start us off, Robert.
All right. So on marketing, you can either have someone like Bateman Collective, great source, by the way, manage your lead gen, manage your Google account, right? Or just buy the leads. You don't need to become a marketing expert. Just pay someone to do it. On sales, I recommend getting after hours answering service, something like Pat Live. So you always got 60-second response time. On Dispo, getting the photos, videos, getting lock boxes on the houses, cleaning out the houses, all of that can be outsourced. And then, of course, transaction coordination. I like outsourcing that. Companies like Easy REI Closings, David Olds, transaction coordination is not a revenue generating activity. So anything that's not revenue generating or anything that you don't have to do, outsource. What you should be focusing on is closing deals, getting the top closers, training them, and make sure they're doing deals.
Showing us why he went to Harvard right there. Thanks, Robert. All right, Steve, what about you?
I mean, I'm just thinking these days, what can't be outsourced, right? Like Eric Brewer's not here, so you put Jimmy in his place. Matt couldn't be here, and RJ took his place. Like, it's scary. Like, everything can be outsourced, right? Transaction coordinating, lead managing. I'm not doing this, but there are people out there that are dispoing with VAs. There are people acquiring with VAs. Like, the only thing you can't outsource these days, it seems, is setting the vision. That's it. Beyond that, it seems like everyone else is replaceable, and that includes every one of us here on this show. It's kind of scary to think about.
On an unrelated note, Steve has just outsourced himself. So, let us know if you want to be a panelist next week. All right, RJ, what are your thoughts?
I think when it comes to this, you need to look at what is like an energy draining activity in your business for yourself, right? So Robert brought up transaction coordination, easy REI closings with David Olds. I mean, that's a great option for you. I absolutely agree on the marketing side of things. People will talk about Google PPC and YouTube ads. Why would you do that when there's companies like Speed to Lead and Lead Solo nowadays, Bateman Collective? Like, why in the world would you go out there and try to do this yourself when you can outsource it to people that are experts in this? At the end of the day, I do think one of the things that you should not try to outsource is anything sales related when it comes to acquisitions and dispositions. Those are two activities. I think you need to keep those in house. That's your revenue. That's your lifeblood. You need to keep your finger on the pulse there and make sure that stays in house.
Amen. Can't agree.
There we go. RJ dropping that nugget right there. All right, Jimmy, come with a good answer. What you got?
So as far as outsourcing, what comes to my mind is, using, and I think the auto workers are angry about using non-American workers. So when we decide, if we create a role, we use Stephen Covey's 4 quadrants to say, hey, are we going to start with an overseas employee or start with an American? And so if something is urgent and not important, like answering the phones, with the exception of leads we're paying for, I'm thinking more of a property management, customer service. Like our whole phone team is VAs, but lead management on leads we pay for in wholesaling is too important. So that is urgent and important, but like a VA, urgent, not important, definitely outsource that. Definitely keep everything that is urgent and important and not important and urgent. And especially spend all your time and not urgent, but important.
Yeah, and I think like going back to Robert's answer where he kind of went through every single aspect, to Steve's point, I think everything could be outsourced at this point in time. I think you really need to sit down and think about why you're outsourcing it, though, because I've yet in close to 300 interviews, I've never heard somebody talk about how they're crushing it with virtual assistants doing acquisitions or dispositions.
Have you not talked to Carlos Reyes?
I have. And like I said, I have yet to interview someone saying they're crushing it with virtual assistants. When I to his credit, when I interviewed him, they weren't doing that yet. And I think Carlos is a unicorn across the board. I think there's something special about the way that his unicorn is Sal, right? His integrator there. And they make a collective decision on why they're outsourcing certain things. So,
yeah, I mean, I think the issue isn't just even outsourcing to VAs, right? I mean, in the near future, it's replacing even some of those VA tasks with AI, right? Like, I think you can get AI to do almost anything except for getting salty about losing the last closing competition, right? I think besides that, he seems really upset.
I'm not even going to say anything, Steve. I'm not addressing it.
You already addressed it. We need AI. Get ChatGPT to address this, please.
Steve is just doing RJ dirty today. He just came in and was like, nope, like not today. All right. I'm going to say, honestly, everybody had a good answer on this one. I'm going to take this one to the chat. And in the chat, we have RJ Bates winning. I'm just as shocked as everybody else.
You can outsource voting.
There we go. We can outsource voting. There you go. All right. So RJ gets the point that round. We're going to go into question number 5. Let's see what we got here. Recently, the Mexican government unveiled some alleged alien bodies causing conspiracy on whether they were real or not. What is your strangest conspiracy theory for real estate investing? Start us off, RJ.
That we actually don't own real estate. We're constantly paying rent to the government. I mean, you can own it free and clear, but if you don't pay your property taxes, it's gone. So how do we actually own it? I mean, it's crazy to me that this is not more talked about. I see real estate investors that get to a certain point, they start talking about it, but I interviewed Nathan Brooks today, and he's big into buy and holds. And we were talking about the problem that we have here in Texas is that properties that we bought 6-7 years ago that were cash flowing $300, $400, $500 a month, we're now having to sell because of the property taxes pushing us to where we're cash flow negative. If we truly own those, then how could the government make it to where we're cash flow negative? So my conspiracy theory is we don't actually own real estate.
I like that. It's true.
All right. RJ undefeated with the government. He's always going to go hard on it. All right, Jimmy, what are your thoughts?
That the Fed's job is to control inflation and unemployment. I think the Fed's job is to keep enough stuff liquid so there's not rioting in the streets. So, for example, like COVID, I think it was great that they did all the handing out of cash. They kept everybody docile. And then what you got to know is if you're an owner of assets, then that's a great thing for you. A lot of people were complaining like we're going to communism, blah, blah, blah. But if you know how inflation works, that you own assets, like we win as they control the mob. And right now, raising rates, as long as there's not riot in the streets, the rates are fine. But soon as the mob starts acting up again, they'll grease the skids, they'll lower interest rates, they'll hand out checks, and it's game on.
All right. I'm not completely thinking that's a conspiracy theory right there, but
on the surface, they say they're there to control unemployment and control inflation. I think they're to control people from rioting.
Hi, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
Exactly.
All right, Robert, what about you?
You will own nothing and be happy. We all heard that from the World Economic Forum in Davos a few years ago. And like it or not, I think that's where we're headed. I think real estate is going to become a commoditized, tradable asset. You're going to see the whole American dream of owning a home, owning real estate, that's going to start dying off. And you're going to have a lot of banks just buying and selling fractional ownership of, different pieces of property across the United States. The banks are going to own everything here in 50 years or so, maybe less.
You think the banks will own it? You think hedge funds will own it?
Wall Street,
matter?
Banks, hedge funds matter. It's going to be institutional ownership of most real estate, and people will it's going to be real estate as a service.
People like Robert.
Matt, do we have to wait for Steve's answer? Because this sounds really interesting to talk about.
You get 2 minutes after Steve. Let him try.
All right, I'll wait.
Let him try. All right, Steve.
So I remember early days as a realtor, I had this guy come in. And he's like, I don't trust realtors, right? He's not like RJ. It's like, I don't trust realtors because if it's a good deal, they're not going to give it to me. They're going to buy it themselves. And I was like, I am insulted. That is ridiculous. Realtors would never do that. And now I do that all the time. So I guess it was a conspiracy at one point, but now it's like, yeah, like if I have you talk to a buyer, it's like, yeah, send me everything that's 65% ARV minus repairs. Just look at you like, why would I send that to you? Why wouldn't I just keep that for myself? So there was a lot of paranoia back in the day when I was getting started in my career. I guess it really wasn't a conspiracy. I guess he was right.
Well, before Jimmy and Robert, nerd out on their topic, all I want to say is thank you, Steve, for bringing up the thing that I hate right below the government, realtors.
Welcome.
Thanks, RJ.
Welcome.
Not you, Potter. You're in the 1%.
Hey, there we go.
Can I be in that 1%?
No,
so
you have to do
like
deals.
Robert, if what you're saying is true, like all that goes in my mind is I need to buy as much stuff of this as possible right now.
Yeah.
Like, do you think it'll be a hostile takeover by what was the World Forum again?
World Economic Forum. No, I don't think it's like a coordinated thing. It's just there's certain laws in economics and business, right? If you look at
now, do you think those commie bastards are going to be taking our houses from us, or do you think they're going to be buying them with inflated currency?
They're going to be leveraging cheap debt. Like, okay, there was a month. Remember when the hedge funds all of a sudden disappeared, all in 1 month? Do you know what happened the month before that on Investor Lift? I'll tell you. I thought it was a glitch. I thought the data was wrong. The month before that, the hedge funds knew that we're in the lowest interest rate period in history, right? Like last year I bought a house. I got 2.9% interest rate. I bought it not because I liked the house. I bought it because I knew they were printing so much fucking money that inflation was going to rip at 8%. If inflation is ripping at 8% and I got my mortgage at 3%, guess what? The Federal Reserve is paying off 5% of my property every single year. Now, the hedge funds understood this. And at one point last year, July last year, I think it was July, the average sale price for a property on InvestorLift was over 100% ARV. That was the average. Now, why was that? The reason being is the hedge funds knew that inflation was about to rip, and if inflation is about to rip, interest rates have to go up. So like we just got to lock in as much cheap debt as possible for the next 30 years, and we only got a few months to do it. Let's just buy everything. And they went on a spending spree and they just bought everything. And us as wholesalers, we're just looking at the short game like, oh my God, we're making these little big checks. big checks. We're looking at our 1 month horizons trying to have a big month. They're playing the 10-year game. They're playing the 15-year game, the 20, the 30-year game. And they're going to make way more money on that game. That's
like Robert.
Why would you look at RJ when you say that when they're doing small checks? Like that was really insulting the way you look at RJ and say small checks.
Robert, but you know how we were all shocked when rates went up, right? Even though it was well overdue that rates would go up. Do you think they knew it was going to go up this high?
Oh yeah, of course.
But then how did they have the inside tip that, hey, now they're going to actually start raising them?
I mean, you can do the math. You just look at the money multiplier and you can figure out what the interest rate is going to be ahead of time.
Well, don't forget, they're all just talking through and hanging out, right? Like we're doing Collective Genius or Crucible or whatever, or Family Master. We're all hanging out. We're talking. We're comparing notes. All the hedge funds are hanging out with all the other hedge funds and all the people deciding our future. They know what the plan is, right? Yeah, what the plan is. Hey, Robert, RJ, Jimmy, look, next year we're going to screw all the people this way, right? You in? All right, good. And then they go do it. So they all know what's going to happen.
So, Robert, why are we wholesaling all these again? Why aren't we keeping them?
I mean, you tell me.
Real quick, there was a glitch in production there. While Robert was talking, Elias actually accidentally muted Steve. And Steve said, we were doing deals in 2022.
Look, RJ's just pissed that his average fee is the same price as Jimmy's actual properties and hotel and God mode and InvestorLift.
Good Lord. All right. That was a great round. Definitely enjoyed it. Went a little deep down the rabbit hole. Wouldn't expect anything less with these panelists. That being said, gonna go ahead and award the point to Jimmy on that one. I do like that he came in with the Fed, because let's be honest, the Fed likes to tinker and then give themselves a pat on the back afterwards for tinkering.
Everybody gets all fired up when the Fed tinkers, and I'm like, as long as the mob's controlled, as long as they're not rioting, and as long as they're printing money, you're doing a great job. Keep it up.
Yep, exactly.
That's where I'm at.
Everybody's going to be okay.
All
right.
I feel like RJ should have gotten the point on this one.
Robert, I thought you should have gotten the point. Don't be salty about it, though. Potter believes in socialism, and he makes sure everyone gets a point.
Yeah, he is very socialistic.
This from the guy
Robert,
that literally... No. Hold up. This from the guy that literally gave EB the win last week, just because he's got an ongoing feud to make sure he's number one over CJ in wins on the show. Bro, absolutely not. Just for that, I'm taking your point away and I'm giving it to Robert now.
Oh, what?
How's that for socialism?
I think
that's more communism, taking and giving to somebody else.
Look, Jimmy, I'm gonna take your point too. If you don't
really
calm
think
down.
Robert deserved the point on that one. That's one of the most intelligent points I've heard on this show.
Exactly, and this is not the show for it.
It kind of makes me miss CJ because there's such a contrast. Like he shows up on time, says highly intellectual stuff, and then it makes me miss CJ for being late, and then kind of mumbling through his responses. And then
you could swipe right later. Like it's okay. Like, it's okay. Y'all can go on a date and talk, and it'll be fine. All right. Next up, we have question number 6. I'm excited for this one. I want to see some intelligent answers. I'm looking at you, Jimmy. What What do you make of the commercial mortgage-backed securities hitting a default rate above 5% this week? For context, some of the private companies are actually reporting numbers as high as 7%. Go ahead and start us off, Jimmy.
I think everybody's been expecting it. Everybody's been waiting it. All the big commercial deals that people wrote paper on at 2% and 3% are now rolling over. And I think this is a natural result of doing a long-term investment on a short-term rate. I thought we learned a lot of this stuff in 2008. I think it is awesome, though, to be not in that asset class and being in an asset class with 30-year fixed mortgages. And I think banks are going to be flooding to us as a realm of safety because of that 30-year fixed mortgage instrument. And hopefully the government will do the awesomest thing ever and create the 40-year mortgage. So those are my thoughts.
Jimmy has been the longstanding proponent of 40-year mortgages for affordability.
I'm not a proponent. I'm just like, look,
For $20,000 houses.
If you can't beat the people in Washington, we can get angry about it, or we can get an investment strategy that leverages every bad move they make.
Imagine having a $20,000 home with a 40-year mortgage. What is your payment? $108
Dude, I will
a month?
definitely be Investor Lift's best buyer. You think I'm buying a lot now? Wait till I can do that.
Oh man. All right, Robert, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's inevitable. We've all just been sitting around waiting for that. It's just okay, all right, it's happening just on schedule. The train's here on schedule, just as we predicted. You know what I've been wondering, related to this, how many years do you think Grant Cardone has before that whole thing blows up? Because he was buying all this shit at 5 caps at peak market at the lowest interest rates ever in history. Those are not on 30-year fucking terms, those loans, right? What's the longest you can get on multifamily? I think the longest is 5 years. So
I think it goes high as 7.
Loan's entire empire gonna blow up in 5 years? Seems
he's gonna refi it out with his new private lenders from his new marketing schemes.
Yeah, but at what rates? You're not gonna have those rates ever again. So I think the whole thing's going negative. The math doesn't pan out. The whole thing's going negative. The entire freaking empire is blowing up here in the next 5 years. I think it's inevitable. There's no way out.
We like to call that fuzzy math.
Less than 5.
Less than 5, yeah.
We like to call that fuzzy math around here, Robert. Just, the math ain't mathin'. All right, Steve, what about you?
Well, I think we got to have the Harvard guy on here more often. He's got some really, really good insight. So I think this is really, again, we were expecting this, right? With all the rates resetting, going from locking in at 2.5% to now interest rates are 7. What else would happen? Their cost of capital, their payments are tripling in some of these instances. They're not cash flowing anymore. It's the same thing that RJ was mentioning earlier with capital, with property taxes in Texas, right? Hey, if you raise my cost on something we already agreed upon, I'm no longer cash flowing. This no longer works for me. Same thing in commercial, right? Hey, my cost of capital has increased. This is no longer cash flowing. I think we're going to have some major problems. We're going to have some significant challenges in the commercial market unless someone comes around and offers a different product. I think that this is going to multifamily, commercial, industrial. This is all going to be in a world of hurt in the very, very near future.
Good point. All right. What about you, RJ?
I think everyone's already answered the question, so I'm just going to take my 45 seconds to talk about things I want to talk about, which is Jimmy got me super excited for the second time in PTD history, bringing up these 40-year amortizations. I mean, this is amazing. I said it the last time. Fuck 40 years. Let's go 80, baby. Let's do it. We're going to have $20 a month mortgages. Let's do it. This sounds amazing.
Dude, what can the government do right now? Because the next thing politicians are going to talk about is, the American dream's dying. How can we make sure home ownership is still an option? They have no other option other than to give people their down payments or extend out their amortization. Another way, if there is
interest-only mortgages.
Or interest-only mortgages. They've pulled every lever.
Best.
What else do they have to do?
Hold on. I'm not done yet. Still my turn, Jimmy.
How many more seconds, Potter? I'm getting dumber by the second.
16.
I got to do my CJ shout out, okay? if we have 80-year amortizations, imagine how affordable housing will be. Shout out to you. Respectfully, CJ. Shout out to his bank account.
But RJ, this is good for us in the position we're in. And like you get poopy pants about it. I understand.
No, I want it, bro. What are you talking about?
This is terrible. This is terrible.
This might be great.
Imagine in a couple of years, though, how great the Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook ads are going to be by Uncle G. I mean, imagine what he's going to be selling. He's not going to be 10Xing anymore, bro. He's going to be 20X in his education to keep up with what Robert's talking about.
Like the latest thing he put out that scared me is starting a fund and then buying a business with that fund. When I saw that ad, that terrified me.
Oh, I think that's the next big thing. I mean, I'm hearing a lot of people talking about buying businesses, but like, how do you have home ownership? Like right now, it's forced savings, right? You buy a house, you get a 30-year mortgage. In 30 years, in theory, you have a house that's paid off, that's appreciated. This is your retirement account. If you bought a house, you've got a retirement account. This whole thing about 80-year mortgages, and I think at 30 to 40, you really aren't shaving that much off. And I think there's a point in no return. If you get to 80 years, I'm not sure it's going to be that much cheaper. At some point, it's just going to be interest only, right? So I don't really see how it helps the regular American if we have these long mortgages where now they don't even have a piggy bank. So they'd have no Social Security. They're irresponsible with their money. And now the only thing that they have that's worked for them is to have a home. We're taking that away. This is a very dystopian future here.
Steve, the government doesn't create policy to help people. The government creates policies to solve the most expedient problem.
But you're encouraging this ridiculous behavior. It's like having a friend who's recovering from a drug addiction. It's like, hey, you know what? You've been great. I'm going to give you a $500 bonus this week. Go have fun this weekend.
No, it's like this. He goes to recovery. He's clearly not into it. He's clearly not going to do it. But by him going back on the sauce, I benefit somehow. Then yeah, I'm probably not going to grab his neck before he goes back in to the bar.
This is horrific, right? We're encouraging bad decisions. Like home ownership, we are encouraging good decisions, right? This is what we're doing here with home ownership. We're encouraging good decisions because we don't trust you otherwise to have a retirement account.
Steve, I will start a letter campaign, a direct mail campaign to all congressional representatives talking about fiscal responsibility. Yeah, and I think that'll be about as very effective.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen, though. I'll tell you why. If you look at, you guys familiar with Freakonomics?
Yes.
Freakonomics did a study, and they looked at, what is the correlation between what people actually want as policies, what their politician actually votes for, versus what do their donors want and what actually gets voted for. There is zero statistical correlation between what actual Americans want and what their politicians actually vote for. And there's a very, very strong correlation between what the donors want and what actually gets voted for. And here's the deal. If we shift over to like interest only mortgages or things like that at very high rates, that's actually very good for Wall Street. Wall Street doesn't
us. Don't forget about us.
And if you use it right. So like it or not, we're going to be headed in that direction.
So the only
way the whole reason, Steve, the whole reason I got into real estate was it was a complete tax revolt. As a corporate sales guy, I was working hard. I was doing all the right things. And eventually I was like, hey, if I can't beat them, join them. I'm just going to invest in real estate instead of becoming a politician.
So the only way to fix this country is to get so goddamn rich that can buy all the politicians to pass laws that are actually beneficial to Americans.
Yes. The first billionaire I ever met, you know what he said to me? He said, like, I was doing a minor in political science. He's like, that's the stupidest shit. Why the hell are you doing that? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I'll go into politics one day. And he's like, look. There's two types of people in this world. There's the people that try to change the game. Those are the idiots. Then there's the people like me. We just learn what the rules are. We master them. We learn how to play all the rules to our advantage. Those are the smart ones. Don't be an idiot. Be a smart one. Who cares what the rules are? The rules, they change a little bit every few years. All you got to do is look at what are the new set of rules? How do I play those rules to my advantage. And I was like, you know what? That sounds like the smart way to do it.
I vote for more smart people on PTD. This is awesome.
Sorry, Brewer.
So we're looking for someone to fill Jimmy's role next week, clearly.
No doubt.
But real quick, I just need everyone to just picture in your mind, imagine Jimmy being a politician. Like, just imagine that was your representation in the Senate or something like that. Like, just imagine.
It's already been on TV. It's Kevin Costner on Yellowstone. I would do it just like him with the cowboy hat and all.
I was going to say it's John Fetterman. Just look at John Fetterman. That's Jimmy in politics.
Come on. Now, that is the most insulting. That's the most insulting. I'm out of here. I am done with PTD.
Oh, snap. All right. So I am going to say Ivy League definitely came with the information and called out Uncle G on the show. Like, I think that's a PTD first right there. We're going to go ahead and award him the point for this, and he is going to win today. You know, Jimmy's obviously a raging fan, so that's great. You know, we're happy that you brought a little class and a little, education to the show.
I'm definitely going to feel weird insulting him next time I'm on the show.
Don't worry. That'll last for about 5 seconds.
I'll get over it.
Yeah, he'll be over it in no time.
Thanks, John.
I will say it was absolutely great to be back in the driver's seat over here with everybody. Great to have PTD today. Congratulations to our winner, Robert. We're going to go ahead and give everybody a chance to say bye and go ahead and once again let people know what you do. Go ahead and start us off, Robert.
Guys, this was a ton of fun. Again, Robert Wensley, CEO of Investor. If you want to sell your deals faster at higher prices, go to get.investor.com and use coupon code DISRUPTORS for 10% off your first year on Investor. Shameless plug. Just had to throw that in. Helping you out, Steve, there with affiliate. Got to make you some checks. This is a ton of fun, guys. Thanks for having me on. I'd love to come back anytime. This is great. I love it. I love the format.
Well, I'm never going to invite you again. #disruptors. Hey, I was the one that invited you.
Oh, holy shit. All right, Steve, say bye to the people.
Steve Trang, Real Estate Disruptors. We solve sales problems. It was an absolute blast. And yeah, it was great hearing Robert, wax on how Uncle G is going to be gone in a matter of years. I'm looking forward to seeing this development.
Like I said, it's a bold prediction. We'll see how it works out for him. We like it. All right, RJ, say bye to the people.
I mean, I'm going back. Apparently, this is just what happens when I'm in competitions. I got 2 points. Robert got 2 points. The other guy gets the win. It feels like San Antonio all over again. But.
Incorrect. I gave your point. I gave one of your points to Robert because you were busting my chops.
You're right. On a more serious note, September 21st, 2012, I unexpectedly lost my dad. So 11 years today since my dad passed away. I share that to say you never know when you're going to lose someone. Take time today to reach out to your loved ones. Tell them that you love them. Potter, excited to have you back, man. Last week was scary. Just, hey, reach out to your loved ones today and let them know that you love them and you care about them.
I now feel really terrible for taking your point away.
It's okay. I saved this in the bag just to make you feel
dude, you're gonna make me marinate on that for 7 days, aren't you?
Whatever you do, just don't have a heart attack, okay?
I appreciate it. I don't plan on doing it again. No, it's great to be back. I appreciate your kind words and condolences on your untimely loss right there. All right, Jimmy, say bye to the people.
Potter, this episode's been very bittersweet for me. The good news is you're not dead. I'm happy about that. I made a new friend with Robert, but I lost a friend this episode. When Trang compared me to Fetterman, he's dead to me.
Don't worry, Jimmy. I'll still invite you back, bro.
Very bittersweet. But if you're looking to acquire assets and grow your wealth through real estate and build a balance sheet of long-term assets, so that you can be like me and Robert and beat these commie bastards at the World Economic Forum, reach out to me at Cashflow Tactics or Jimmy Reach out to me at Jimmy Vreeland on Instagram, and let's get you some turnkey assets, and let's beat these commie bastards. Right, Robert?
Let's do it.
And I'll buy a Drum investor lift, I'll fix it up, and then I'll sell it to somebody, to you.
One
email Jimmy.
$3,000 house at a time, baby.
That's how you do it. That's how you beat inflation.
Yeah.
Reach out to Jimmy on Instagram at John Fetterman.
Oh man, it has been an amazing show. Thank you everyone for tuning in, watching live, watching the replay. We appreciate it. Make sure you like, subscribe to our YouTube channel at Pardon the Disruption. We will see you guys next week. Have a great one.
Thanks, guys.